I'm not sure that's the greatest angle. Good girl. To get this session with Kat. What a good girl. Good girl. I wanted to introduce the lunge whip today and get her used to ropes and having something go around her body. I wanted to wait until she was more friendly, which she's clearly more friendly. Good baby. What a good girl. And she actually walks up to the gate now when I come out here, which is awesome. So I'll have to get a video of that later. But yeah, just the last few days have been a lot of what the first session was, and then working on walking up to her faster, like at a normal pace and not so like reserved. And yeah, I'm really happy with her personality and how she's handling things. And yeah, so what the plan is to get her used to a lunge whip going around her body. And I moved it, and she already saw it, like, oh, that's new. And good girl, it's okay. And just it's something different, so that I can integrate the halter without as much, like, you know, jumping back and nerves. The round pen is right here, but I'm assuming that with this camera angle you're gonna get most everything on this side, so I'll try and rest her and stuff where you can see her. But yeah, she'll probably go out of frame here on that side. But anyway, so I'm just gonna start lobbing this up. My guess is she's gonna take off and start running around, and I'm gonna leave it on her back until she walks or slows down. If she goes at a canter, I'm gonna wait till she trots and I'll take it off and walk away. If she trots, I'm gonna wait till she walks and I'm gonna take it off. If I feel like her emotions are pretty heightened, I'm going to wait until I see her start coming down at all. So once she starts coming down, then I'll take it off and walk away. But if I feel like she's really, like, terrified, yeah, so here we go. Good girl. What a good girl. She was trotting, and then she kind of hesitated half of a trot step, so I took it off right at that hesitation. And then I'm going to walk back and do it again. Good baby, what a good girl. Good girl. You're all right. Good girl. So right there, she slowed way down. Good girl. She's also watching my feet, since I did that with her the last few days. Of every time she'd slow down, I would slow my feet down. So now she's understanding that as soon as I slow my feet, that she's getting closer to the right angle. You can barely fit under that coat. Sorry. Well, let me fix that. He got stuck under the panel. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate that. Girl! What a good girl! The reason I use a lunge whip is because I can control the stiff part, and yet this will land really softly on their back. You might have seen the bamboo pole method, which I think the Laumans, Kitty Lauman, started. I tried that once upon a time back in 2013, I think. Maybe it was 2008. Man, I can't remember which horse that was for. Anyway, and I did not like the rigidity. I also didn't like how the pole, if it slipped over the horse's back, got caught in the panels. It did not work for me personally. Does not mean you can't use a pole to accomplish the same thing, but I really like the ease of a lunge whip and how I can just glide it over their back and it lands softly and it just hangs there versus being stiff, something hard and rigid on their back. Anyway, it has more play and give than something solid. So I still want to reward that, since that's what we've been doing the last couple days. So she's like, oh, if I look at you, you'll go away. But she's not relaxed. She's like bracy. So it's okay. I'm just going to build on that. Good girl. So there's a lick and chew, and she's coming down a little bit. Good baby. What is so beautiful? You asked me a couple days ago if this horse was an extrovert, and I wasn't quite sure yet. The way I read that is not necessarily like my first impression. Like, I like to ask them a series of questions and see how they handle that. And she licks and chews right away. She blinks a lot, really heavy blinking. She drops her head to the ground. So to me, that's an extrovert. So she's being more extroverted with her emotions versus being really tight-lipped and kind of saying like, oh, I'm not sure. She's definitely more extroverted with her emotions in that sense. Good girl. She's a little unsure now that she understands I'm attached to this, so we're just building on what we've got. to point out right then, so she's backed up against that panel. So in her mind, she's trapped if I come straight at her like that with too much pressure. And so I kind of hit the edge of her bubble and then reached my hand and waited for her to kind of try with her nose to breach that bubble versus me coming, hi, here I am, and go to pet her. I think she would have panicked. She probably would have gone backwards or come forward at me like this, just because she would have felt trapped, butted up against those panels. So you have to kind of read what's going to happen before it happens and then avoid it altogether. So it's just being constantly aware of their surroundings and their thought process and the little things that she's saying. Like, she got all tense when I came close to that bubble, and I knew that, and so I stopped at the edge and waited for her nose to come out a little bit, and then I retreated. She didn't even touch me. She didn't even kind of come close to my hand, but she tried, so that's why I retreated versus going in for the pet, even though I know I can pet her. Good girl. And now see, that time was way more relaxed. So, good girl. She's not too keen on the flies though. Okay, I'm going to pause this for now. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I had a girlfriend show up and had to help her with her horse. So we're back. So I'm going to start with the same thing that we left off on and go from there. Good Good girl. What a good girl. Good girl. Okay, so debrief about that for a second. So when I first walked in here with the whip, she saw it in my hand and she's like, bye. She didn't even like want to give it a chance. So that's why I flung it over her back, is to let her know, like, hey, this is limp, like this isn't gonna hurt you, you know. And then she actually would accept the fact that she could look at it and address it as something that isn't terrifying, which is really cool. So that was really cool for her to, you know, not even want to even look at it at first and just run away from it, and then kind of go, okay, what do you have? And actually have that conversation. So, good girl. That was really awesome. So I'm going to try that again and see what she does. Good girl. What a good job. Yeah. Good girl. Now I have this rope around her neck as if I were going to halter her. Another reason I love the lunge whip. Good girl. Good girl. What a good girl. We'll probably go through the same song and dance when I actually bring the halter in, but it'll be way less than if I just jumped in here with a halter in my hand. But yeah, this is awesome. Good girl. That's about where I'm going to quit for today. I'm really happy with that, and I don't want to push her to a point of having something go south again and then having to work through it. I'd rather quit when I'm like way up here. That's where we're going to start tomorrow. Good girl. But yeah, she's handling everything awesome. Thanks.